In other news, the Victoria Day long weekend marks the unofficial start of summer for a whole lot of us across the country. We spend it planting, camping, cottaging, or probably doing lots of grilling. A good time to revisit food safety before we fire up the Barbies. CBC medical specialist Dr. Karl Kabasele joins us now with some food advice as we look at the barbecue season. So, love the barbecue season, Dr. Karl, and certainly as we think about those burgers and steaks that we put on the Barbie, what should we be thinking about?
Well, aside from having fun, the thing to remember is that meat is what we consider to be a high-risk food because it has protein, it has a good pH, so bacteria love it and love to multiply on it. So in order to prevent food poisoning and protect ourselves, it's all about managing the temperatures and handling the food in the right way.
So have you got any suggestions? I mean, most of us love the taste of barbecue. So is there a difference? Should we be mindful of the difference between gas and charcoal just in terms of how we cook and making sure that the meat is cooked properly?
Well, in terms of the gas or the charcoal, that's really personal preference for taste. But what the key here is it's all about temperature. And it's all about making sure that you cook the meat to the proper internal temperature. Now, there's a lot of great guides on the internet and in cookbooks as to what the specific temperatures are for different kinds of meat. But in general, you're going to want to get that internal temperature using a probe thermometer to ensure that you're there. To at least 70 degrees Celsius. And when you're sort of storing the food or transporting it in a cooler, you want to make sure that the temperature is at 4 degrees Celsius or below. Anything in between around 4 degrees Celsius and 60 to 70 degrees Celsius is considered to be the danger zone where bacteria can multiply, and you want to try to avoid letting food sit in that zone.
Actually, that's a very good point, because I think many of us have often had burgers on a plate or something, and it's sitting there as you're cooking for people, and in fact it may just be warming up to that dangerous zone. Beyond that, obviously the meat has to be properly cooked, and you don't want it undercooked to avoid salmonella. But back in the day, it used to be you'd barbecue everything to a crisp, and that is a problem as well, right?
Well, it certainly can be. So a lot of people like the flavor of charred meat, but you have to remember that the blackening on the surface of meat is actually, it contains cancer-causing compounds. So if you have some charred meat every now and then, probably not that big of a deal, but you don't want to overdo it because, there are compounds called polyaromatic or polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, among other things. Whenever you have burnt organic material like meat, it can lead to cancer-causing chemicals.
Let's talk a bit about cross-contamination. I think we know about it, but it's worth reminding everyone how you avoid, when you're handling food, that kind of cross-contamination, which can make you sick.
Absolutely. So in the same way that we talk about avoiding cross-contamination in the kitchen by having separate cutting boards for raw meat and, let's say, fruits and vegetables, and using different utensils and cleaning surfaces as you go, the same thing applies to barbecue. Now, you're oftentimes outside, either in your backyard or in a park or what have you, so it's not as easy to sort of maintain that cleanliness, but it's just about being mindful, doing as much of the prep as you can in a clean kitchen, and then storing the raw meats separate from the fruits and vegetables in a separate cooler, definitely in sealed containers, and using different utensils. So for the raw meat, as you're taking your tongs and putting it on the barbecue, not using those same tongs with the cooked foods that you're then going to serve.
Okay, very good advice. Great to talk to you, Dr. Karl. Have a great weekend.
And you too.
Thanks.